Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to I Thought I Knew, but I Don't. Hope you guys have had a wonderful day. Please forgive me if I kind of sway one way or the other. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do some of these videos, but I am here. So, in the past week or so, I am noticing that the Epstein files are back. For people who aren't aware, Jeffrey Epstein was a money broker. Seems like he was very good at money laundering. He would take the money. He said he had billion-dollar clients. I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing that to him, to have a billion-dollar client would shrink people's necessity for him, because I think it was probably more than just the financial side of it. So in 2008, he was prosecuted for human trafficking and sex with a minor in the state of Florida. Coincidentally, Pam Bondi was AG at the time for Florida. The man who, what is his name? It slips me. But the same man who Barr worked for the United States government. His father worked for the government. He was the guy who put Jeffrey Epstein on, apparently, like getting him in contact with all these clients and his client list and da-da-da-da. Or not just client list, but just getting him into his... Barr's father helped him start his early career. So, I'm not going to go through the whole details of what everything was with the Epstein files, but I will touch on like my kind of opinion of it. And my opinion is that like the federal government, first off, Epstein probably is not the only one. Two, why would a country need somebody like that and use him against our United States politicians? Another question I think I have is like, it's almost like Americans, especially the politicians, tend to forget a lot of the issues and concerns that maybe I have. Like, and I'm not picking on Democrats. I know it might seem that way, and a lot of my viewers and friends, they tend to think that I sway right. But in all actuality, I am very moderate. At least I think I am. I could be wrong. But, Jasmine Crockett called out somebody and then defended somebody. Like, defended somebody who was on the Epstein files. Or not on the Epstein files, I'm sorry. Somebody who was texting Jeffrey Epstein during Congress. Now, I just don't understand the conversation that's not being had about not just Jeffrey Epstein, not her speaking to Jeffrey Epstein during Congress, but how many other people leaned on that man for content, for information, or for whatever? And why does he have that much access to single members of Congress? Like, he is a constituent of the Virgin Islands. I do understand that, but I do also understand that, like, post-conviction, you should be somewhat aware of who a Jeffrey Epstein is and why you particularly might not want to converse with him. But I mean, it just goes back to, I think, some of the core issues I have with our federal government, and I think will never be addressed because you have money in politics. I have a theory that if you take money out of politics, you probably fix a lot of issues. You have a cap. The government does handle certain things like your travel, your expenses, things like that. You turn in an expense report with the city or state. I heard a good analogy for it too. You should make the median wage of your state. So, and it encourages people who actually want to do something. Our founding fathers of this country tended to had full-time jobs. They had full-time jobs, and they would take their free time and use that to legislate and to go up against the government and do all the things for the government. And I think that that's kind of what it is. I think most jobs, if you do put a cap on it that is reasonable, enough for you to make a wage, but not enough to take advantage, that you can be successful, but you also are doing it because you love the game. Like, you actually care about your constituents. So you, unfortunately, like I said, and I really don't mean to call people out, but no, I won't do it. But I do think that there's a lot of politicians that you could tell just want to be in the camera. A lot of politicians that just want to pay. A lot of politicians that just want to be able to take advantage of the system. And now we're looking at like billions of dollars of fraud, and no one tends to bat an eye. So then when the Jeffrey Epstein stuff comes up, once again, I do believe it's somewhat of a distraction. Pam Bondi today went and sat in front of Congress and got jumped. I mean, I don't understand the logic behind that. But anyway, yeah, the Epstein stuff is just interesting. I think that people have known that there's probably like some cabal of rich people that just do whatever they want. We always go to the worst idea, child fucking. But I do think that it's a combination of a lot of things. A lot of stuff I saw in the files too reference Baal, Baal. If you ever get a chance to look that up, look up who he is, and look up what it means. Yeah, you saw a lot of that. And once again, like the child sacrifice stuff. I mean, we don't know what's true and what's not. But it's interesting that that is a thing because a lot of, I want to say it's Eastern European, but like a very old tradition. Those are like old, I'm not gonna say traditions, but like rituals. Like you would sacrifice children for the youth, for their blood, and da 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 da. And it's crazy that it's connected to a Jewish person, and no one talks about that. And I'm not trying to bring up a anti-Semitic rant on Jewish people, bloodletting and things like that. I do not believe that that's the case. I think most Jewish people are great. If I have any beef, it's with the country of Israel and its conception and how they bullied their way into it. But anyway, yeah, I don't think there's any issues with the Jewish people. But like, if I'm not mistaken, and I will do some more research on this, I do think that that was like one of the first idols that God had said no to. So it's interesting that somebody who was a Jewish supremacist, because Jeffrey Epstein was a Jewish supremacist who worked for Mossad. You cannot tell me Russia or anything like that. Like, why would he be interested in something like that? And I wonder how much of our modern religions that we do not know the truth about or don't have context because it's not given, so that people like them either believe this or it is true. Like you hear in like Skull and Bones, or you hear about some of these secret societies where 33 is a very important number. Like you're 33, you get initiated. At 33, you know, these things happen. And I truly do wonder, like, how much of this is real. That's number one. But if it is real, like, what do you know that we don't? And I think that's a big part of the game. I think there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about our own religion. I think there's a lot of stuff we don't know about some of these higher echelon people. I think there's a whole slew of people that don't abide by our rules. But I want to give like a really good take on this though, like a very solid base. It is a very concerning yet sad thing to know about the two-tier system. We are aware of it. We know it. You know, we know rich people will get off. You know, we say white people, but it's not white people. It's rich people. And black people, please understand that. It is not the poor white dude up the street. He might be ignorant. He might not be whatever. He might be prejudiced. It doesn't matter because the same type of prejudices you have, the same ones he has, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, once you start to influence that person with your prejudice to worsen or make their life better, whatever way, like, I think that's where the problem lies. Yeah, it's just interesting to see that they get away with it. If you've ever watched The Sopranos, which I do suggest, and I might do that in these videos, like give you something to watch, to kind of wash some of this negative shit out your system. But in The Sopranos, there's a season where Tony Soprano, he's a mob boss, and Tony says to his psychiatrist, like, hey, I don't understand, like, you're just having a problem. So as he's talking to the psychiatrist, somehow the police come up and he starts getting really upset. Like, he's like, just like, motherfucker, I can't believe them, da 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 da. And you can understand that. All the extortion that a mob boss does, all the killing that they do, all these things are things that the United States government does, or people within that government, and they do not see any consequence. So if that's the case, what is the incentive for regular Americans to do these things? And I think that if there's something to protest about, it's not particularly the Jeffrey Epstein thing. I think we should protest the fact that you're not, it's beyond not fair. It's beyond not fair. Throw the media out the window, throw Trump out the window. I think that, like, there should be a mass boycott of not doing your fucking taxes. I think that there should be a mass boycott on, like, any federal institutions. There should be a national boycott. If you're going to steal from us, because it's not, you keep saying the Somalians, and I get it, and I get the fraud of the regular people, but tell me about this fraud that's happening with the politicians in our government that are making millions. And I wonder since the beginning of Clinton era, I wonder if it started then. We had a positive deficit. We got rid of the deficit for the first time in a while. and then all of a sudden now, like, every politician is worth millions of dollars. But that's my little bit of 2 cents. I do think that, like, it's concerning, but I'll maybe talk more about it later. But the battery's down on this camera. Please like and subscribe if you do. I mean, I'll random. Hopefully, I'll get a little bit better. I might start writing some stuff down. But I will give you a suggestion on a TV show if you guys want to watch. I do suggest The Sopranos. I talked about it a little bit. Sopranos is a wonderful show. I watched it late in life, but it really was good. I suggest that you give it a try. I think it's like 6 or 7 seasons. It does give a good time capsule of the early 2000s. I forgot. I relived through it, but it was very interesting watching that. Yeah, so hopefully you have a good day. Love on your loved ones. Call somebody. Start a tradition of trying to have a relationship with somebody that you love. Like a little bit more tight. Like, you know, call your mom, call your dad once a week, whoever. Like, but I do give that suggestion. Love on your family. But have a good one. Talk to you later.